Welcome to the second installment of our exploration into the Hamato Clan saga from the rise of the TMNT TV show. In the first part, we delved into Splinter's story, examining how his lack of a meaningful purpose led him to a sedentary lifestyle. This change was partly due to the end of his movie star career following his mutation and his skepticism about the legend of the Shredder, a malevolent entity whose revival the Hamato Clan has thwarted for centuries. Additionally, Yoshi was resentful of how this higher purpose led his mom to abandon him at a very young age. Also, Splinter's transformation into an anthropomorphic rat occurred because Baron Draxum, an alchemist warrior, was concerned about a prophecy predicting a dire threat to the yokai, which he believed to be humans. 13 years post-mutation, Splinter discovered the harsh truth. The Shredder's legend was real. In this video, we'll focus on how this revelation impacts Splinter and his actions. In this iteration of Rise of the TMNT, the Shredder was voiced by Hoon Lee, an actor known for voicing Splinter in the 2012 animated series. Interestingly, this character remained silent for most of the series, only speaking in the final episodes. Compared to other portrayals, this Shredder resembles the Oroku Saki character from the 2003 series, who also formed a pact with the powerful Tengu for enhanced power. Uniquely, this is the first version where the Shredder is biologically related to both the Turtles and Splinter. But who was this Shredder? He was initially Oroku Saki, the leader of the peaceful Foot Clan 500 years ago. The clan faced a dire situation when they were attacked and pushed to the brink of extinction. In desperation, Saki struck a deal with a powerful Oni who offered him the Kuroi Yoroi, a suit of dark armor that rendered him invincible. However, this power came at a grave cost. It corrupted his soul and transformed him into the Shredder, leading the Foot Clan down a path of malevolence. Unbeknownst to Saki, the Oni was part of the alien race known as the Krang. Their spaceship was the source of the Empyrean, which would later mutate the Turtles and become a focal point of mystic power. Confronted with her father's transformation, Hamato Karai, Saki's daughter, formed the Hamato Clan to oppose him. The Shredder armor was almost impossible to destroy, as the pieces would snap back together. Faced with an armor that no mortal weapon could defeat, Karai made the ultimate sacrifice. She took herself and the Shredder into the Twilight Realm, ensuring the armor's destruction. To prevent its reassembly, the pieces were scattered all around the world. All these pieces would eventually end up in New York.
That's not a coincidence.
The whole victory was left behind in a scroll for future generations of the Hamato Clan. And with the completion of the armor, the Shredder was born. The world was driven to ruin by the demon. It was a destructive power that no one had ever seen before. Villages were burned down and the clan was destroyed. It was impossible for anyone to stop it. However, we found hope in the darkness. Holy prayers were offered, and the armor absorbed the soul of Oroku Saki and eradicated the evil spirit. Finally, the monster disappeared and only the armor remained. Since that glorious day of victory, the Hamato Clan vowed to prevent the armor from returning to its original form and reviving the Shredder. The armor was shattered and hidden around the world. Because of the terrifying power of Shredder and the strong desire of the armor, it was hidden in a place only known to the Hamato Clan. However, if the armor is restored to its original form and the Shredder is revived, it's the mission of this clan to fight with their lives to protect the Earth. Centuries passed, and as I mentioned earlier, Splinter had always dismissed the legend of the Shredder as a mere myth. This changed when he noticed the Foot Clan emblem on April's shirt, a logo from her workplace, the Foot Shack store. This prompted Splinter to investigate further. Together, Splinter and April uncovered that the Foot Clan was attempting to resurrect their master from the Twilight Realm. Splinter realized that his pursuit of fame had inadvertently given the Foot Clan the opportunity to gather most of the armor pieces. To prevent them from being successful, Splinter infiltrated the clan, but things got out of hand once Baron Draxum showed up, revealing that the Foot Clan was working for him. It was during that fight that Draxum realized Splinter was Lujitsu, something that took the Turtles by surprise. Splinter was also surprised to know that the Turtles had already met Draxum. Since only members of the Foot Clan could wield the dark armor, Draxum manipulated things to become the leader of the clan and be the one to wear it. In that way, he would become the protector of the yokai. Splinter became desperate. The Shredder's return was almost inevitable, and the boys needed to be trained in the Hamato ways as soon as possible. So he summoned the ancient spirits of the clan for advice.
Yeah, we're going to need to skip ahead to the what to do if you live your whole life as an action star Lujitsu and now the dark armor is almost complete and your sons aren't ready chapter.
Dude, way to leave things to the last minute.
Interestingly, the Mystic Aura character was also voiced by Hoon Lee. In just a few hours, Splinter prepared the Turtles to join the Hamato Clan while April, undercover, monitored the armor pieces being moved to the hidden city on one of Big Mama's trains. However, Draxum captured the Turtles and coerced Splinter into exchanging the last armor piece for them. Splinter and April soon realized that they had the final piece all along, disguised as their family teapot, Scully. Despite the Turtles' escape, they couldn't prevent the armor's reunification on Draxum, granting him immense power. Enough power to destroy all humans. This, however, wasn't how it was supposed to happen, according to the Foot Clan. The Foot Clan had intended for the Shredder to absorb Draxum's life force, as a mystical being's essence was necessary for his resurrection. So why was Draxum still in the armor? The reason for this was that at some point, the Turtles damaged the teapot and patched it up using a Jupiter Gym action figure. Splinter realized that following the Hamato ways wasn't the key so far, and allowed the Turtles to be their chaotic selves again. Together, and without an actual plan, they removed the action figure from the teapot, leading to Draxum's ejection from the armor and the re-emergence of the Shredder. But Shredder was still not himself. He was erratic and mindless. Leo and Splinter went to ask Big Mama for help, and this was when Leo found out that the two had a relationship in the past. Big Mama figured out that the Shredder wasn't properly tethered to this dimension, and she knew how to help. Leo and Splinter made a deal with her to fight in the Battle Nexus in exchange for a collar that could allow them to keep Shredder under control. Once successful, Big Mama was to return Shredder to his prison dimension. Predictably, she reneged on her promise, instead transforming Shredder into her new champion, the Shadow Fiend. Big Mama later reappeared and transported all the people of New York into a mystical orb, compelling the Turtles to compete in what she termed Battle Nexus New York. The Turtles had to fight chained to one of their enemies and face the daunting task of either saving the people of New York or losing them forever. However, Big Mama again altered the rules, transforming New York into her permanent Battle Nexus, with its inhabitants as unwilling participants. To enforce her rule, she summoned her Shadow Fiend, whom the Turtles soon recognized as the Shredder now under her control. Splinter, April, Draxum, and Cassandra, a Foot Clan recruit, managed to escape the orb. They discovered that the Shredder was being manipulated through a controlling collar. Cassandra took Big Mama's controller ring and made the Shredder destroy the hotel. The Turtles and their allies escaped, but couldn't save Big Mama from Cassandra's attack. Big Mama would end up hospitalized. Knowing that Splinter never paid enough attention to the lessons from his grandpa's show, Draxum realized that the knowledge of how to defeat the Shredder was hidden in his memories. He then sent the Turtles on a mission through Splinter's memories to uncover a solution. Once Raph found out there was a weapon in the Twilight Realm, Draxum was able to retrieve it. However, this weapon was actually Hamato Karai, who was the only thing keeping the Shredder trapped in the Twilight Realm. With her back into our dimension, the Shredder regained consciousness and broke free from the collar's control. Splinter realized that Karai was his great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandma, which made her also related to the Turtles who never had a grandma before. Karai explained that the events that happened 500 years ago, before realizing that Splinter never trained the Turtles in the traditional Hamato Ninpo, the clan's secret technique that connected them with past generations and to each other. This was crucial to defeating the Shredder in the past, and now it was up to Karai to train the boys. Unfortunately, Karai was exhausted after 500 years and needed to rest. However, she never had the time to recover, as Shredder and the Foot found them, looking to absorb the Hamato essence to become truly invincible. In the ensuing battle, the Shredder destroyed the Turtles' mystic weapons. Karai, despite her exhaustion, confronted the Shredder to banish him back to the Twilight Realm. However, she hesitated upon encountering her father's soul within the armor, leading to her downfall. Draxum and Splinter sacrificed themselves to allow the turtles to escape the collapsing lair. Shredder wanted to extract the Hamato essence from Splinter, but this was impossible without Empyrean, so he led them to his old lab in the Hidden City just to buy them some time, having realized that the Shredder was the true evil foretold in the yokai prophecy. Back at the lair, April found a dying Karai, who passed her spirit into her to be able to teach the boys about the Hamato Ninpo. Karai also affirmed April's status as a Hamato, giving her inclusion in the Turtles family drawing. April successfully trained the Turtles to rely on each other to get access to the Hamato Ninpo, just in time to save their father from getting his essence extracted. The Turtles and April returned with their classic weapons, but with a mystical twist. In a turn of events, Cassandra saves Splinter at the last moment, allowing his essence to counterattack the Shredder. The Turtles, April, Draxum, Splinter, and Cassandra utilized the Hamato Ninpo to finally destroy the Koroi-Uroi. In this climactic moment, the spirits of all the Hamatos, including Splinter's mother, joined forces to dismantle the dark armor and free Oroku Saki's soul. Karai and her father reunited and moved on, while the Turtles liberated New York's people from the mystical orb. The finale of Rise of the TMNT was indeed impressive, but it's noteworthy that the writers initially had more elaborate plans. Karai was intended to be a significant part of the second season, where she would have taught the Hamato Ninpo to the Turtles. However, the creators had to conclude all storylines in just 4 short episodes due to the show's impending indefinite hiatus. This constraint led to the decision to transfer Karai's spirit into April. Still, the results were quite good, and the fact that the writers could give Oroku Saki a happy ending exceeded all expectations. Another poignant aspect of the series was the Hamato Clan's motto, "You are not alone." This powerful message underscores the strength found in unity, whether with family like the Turtle Brothers, extended family like April, or friends like Draxum, who transitioned from being manipulated by the Foot Clan to becoming an ally of the Hamatos. The finale also brought closure not just for Saki, but for Yoshi as well, who finally concluded the Hamato mission, and briefly reunited with his mother's spirit. Considering how much Yoshi suffered throughout his life, we can assume that this finally took him out of his depression, or at least nothing in the movie seems to indicate otherwise. And speaking of the movie, the main villains in that story were the Krang, who were the ones who gave the dark armor to Oroku Saki. I already covered that story in this channel. So I hope you enjoyed my coverage of Splinter and the Shredder from the Rise of the TMNT show. Let me know your thoughts about this version of the classic story. Thanks for watching, see you in the sewers!